أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
So the previous class, which was 2 weeks ago, we covered two things, two aspects. Can anybody remind us what we covered at that time? Or one of the two things that were covered? Yes?
You're talking about small bodies of water and what is...
Yes, we're talking about water, rulings related to water, right? What is considered to be a small body of water, what is considered to be a large body of water, right? So according to our madhab, what was the preferred opinion in regards to what's considered a large body of water? Anybody can remind us? Yes.
Where is pious, sane person can safely judge and say that that is considered a large body of water?
Yes, right? A person who is, say, aql salim, right? Sound intellect. He's familiar in regards to rulings pertaining to water. What is actually considered a large body of water? Because many of times, or sometimes, it might not be feasible for you to now measure the body of water and to see if it actually fits the measurements. Right? So somebody who has familiarity, sound intellect, he can judge, he can make a judgment that, okay, this is a large body of water. Then you'll consider that a large body of water and the rulings will apply. Remember, the rulings differ in regards to a small body of water and a large body of water. We mentioned that in a small body of water, what happens when something impure falls in there? Can we use that water? No, you can't. Right? It doesn't matter how much. If impurity falls in a small body of water, then the water will become impure. There is an exception, however, which is flowing water, right? If there's a stream, a small stream, and the water is constantly flowing, then even if an impurity falls in there, due to the fact that the water is flowing, we won't consider it impure by some impurity falling into it. Right? And for the large body of water, if an impurity falls in it, will the water be considered impure?
No.
No, but there is specific ruling, unless what happens?
Unless there's like there's a smell or there's a certain...
Yes,
like,
one of the three qualities of the water, unless that changes, which is what? The smell, the color, or the taste. One of these three changes due to the impurity falling into the water, then that water will be considered impure, even if it is a large body of water. So that was related to the water. And then we covered some aspects of Tayammum. Today will be a short class, we're just going to finish up Tayammum today. I didn't really get a chance, I was kind of busy to go further than that. We discussed about Tayammum. Mainly was what can be used for Tayammum. Firstly, when does Tayammum become, or when is a person allowed to do Tayammum?
When they're outside a 1 mile radius of any source of water.
Yes. If within a 1 mile radius there is no water available which he can now go and perform wudu with that water, then he can perform Tayammum. Right? And we discussed not everything is suitable to perform Tayammum on, right? There's specific things which you can perform Tayammum on. Like for example, this carpet, I can't perform Tayammum on this carpet. Right? There's certain rulings related to it, right? To make it easy, I mentioned one principle, right? And a lot of things would fall under that, a lot of materials fall under that, which was what, if anybody can remember the principle, what was the principle?
If it can burn, you cannot do tayammum on it.
Yes, if it burns, fire burns it or melts it, then you cannot do tayammum with that. So what are examples of that? Gold, silver, copper, right? These materials, you can't do tayammum with them because gold burns it. So anything which is not burnt through fire or melts through fire, then you can make tayammum with those materials, like bricks, for example, concrete, those type of material, limestone, those type of materials you can perform tayammum on. Another thing that was mentioned was it's not necessary for those materials to have dust on them. So if there's a brick and it's completely clean, even if a person washes that brick, wipes all the dust off of that brick, you could still perform tayammum. It's not necessary for that material to have dust on it, right? We also mentioned that soil and sand, those things, tayammum can be performed with them as well. There was also a question asked last week that what if there is water available within a 1 mile radius, but by the time he gets to the water, the timing of salat will expire. Can he perform tayammum in that, at that time? So the answer to that is no, he can't perform tayammum since there is water available. Even if the time for salat will expire, he'll go make wudu and then he'll make up the prayer. Now another question comes up, what if there's no water and there's no means for him to perform tayammum?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
What if there's no water and there's no means for him to perform tayammum, nothing around for him to perform tayammum, right? This is another masala called faqid al-tuhurain, a person who both means of purity are missing, right? They're lost. person can't find it. He can't find water. He can't find anything to do tayammum on. Say for example, back then when people would travel long distances on a train, there was no water available there. Neither was there any material for them to perform tayammum on. So what do you do in that scenario? So according to our madhab, what you do is you will still pray without purity, without being in a state of purity, but you will make up the prayer afterwards. You will do qada of the prayer later on at a time where there is water available, or you can perform tayammum. There's material there for you to perform tayammum, right? Yes?
Just a quick question. Just using that train example, let's say a person is traveling on that train. I guess it has to be a certain amount of sand or soil to be on that to be performing there, right? I was just thinking of a seat, but again, if it's fire, then if it could be burned down, but it would have to have a certain amount of sand.
Yes.
Or
it has to have a certain amount of dust, soil,
right.
or sand on it, right?
Okay, makes sense.
This was actually one scholar was mentioning this, where somebody asked him about we're on the train where there's nothing for us to perform tayammum on, there's no wudu. So they mentioned at that time that when the train is traveling, usually there were, I believe it was like brick walls by there, so a lot of the dust from the brick would end up on the train, because after a certain amount of time there's a lot of dust from those bricks on the train. So what you can do is that if you can, you can stick your hands out, place your hands on that dust. If it's a large amount, you can perform tayammum with that as well. With that, that's allowed. We mentioned that last week as well. Even if a material which we can't perform tayammum, like this carpet, but now there's dust on it and a large amount of dust, then you can perform tayammum with that, using that dust, right? So those aspects were covered. Okay, and today we will discuss the conditions for the validity of tayammum, and then we will talk about the bare minimum, what's absolutely necessary, the arkan, right? Those things which are necessary in tayammum, and those things which are sunnat in tayammum. So the beginning, what is the conditions in order for tayammum to be valid? First is straightforward, we discussed this last week. Incapability of using water, whether it be due to some illness or there's no water within the 1 mile radius. That's the first condition, that this has to be there. You can't perform tayammum if there's water available. Number 2 is that you have to make intention, unlike wudu. So what is the reason behind this? Why you don't? Again, this is another discussion between the Hanafi madhab and the Shafi'i madhab, right? Shafi'i says, look, in tayammum you make intention. So in wudu you also make intention, right? So according to the Hanafi madhab, they say you don't make intention. It's not fard to make intention in wudu. One of the reasons behind that is because they say the essence of water is for a person to attain purity through it, right? Whereas materials which you use to perform tayammum, the essence of sand, soil, brick dust is not to attain purity. So due to that, you need to make the intention. Intention has to be there. A person just can't touch dust and rub it all over his body and say, now I'm in the state of purity. Intention has to be there, right? It'll just suffice that I'm making tayammum to perform salah. It's simple, right? And again, it doesn't have to be verbally said, right? If you say that you can make this intention in the heart. This is very simple and straightforward. Just 2 things which are a condition in order for a tayammum to be valid.
So in the Shafi'i mazhab, the intention is not necessary?
No, it is necessary.
And
they use that as a proof to say that in wudu is also necessary.
And in the Hanaf, we also have intention as one of the faraid in tayammum, right?
In tayammum, yes. That's the condition in tayammum. So now what about the arkan, you could say? There's also 2. The first is wiping the face. Right? And again, keep in mind that this is after a person places his hands on the soil or on whatever material tayammum is allowed with, right? The second, wiping both hands, or not hands, you could say arms. Both arms. Wiping both arms until the elbows. And remember, is this including the elbows or not including the elbows? Including the elbows. We discussed this in wudu, right? So this is also straightforward, just 2. So if a person makes the intention, and he wipes his face, and he wipes both arms until the elbows, then his tayammum will be done. Right? I'll mention the method later on, of the whole method of performing tayammum. So now, what are the sunnah acts of tayammum? I think there's 4, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. 5. Yes, 5. The sunnah acts of tayammum. Number 1 is saying Bismillah in the beginning. Right, prior to starting the tayammum, a person says Bismillah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Just like in wudu, it's sunnah to say Bismillah in tayammum as well. Also, another thing is the tartib, the sequence, right? It's sunnah to observe the sequence when you're performing tayammum. So it means you wipe the face first, then you wipe the right hand, arm all the way until the elbow, including the elbow, and then you wipe the left arm including the elbow as well. Right?
Do we have to wipe the face once or 3 times?
Once is fine. Once is fine. Yes, and when you place your hands on the soil or on the dust, a sunnat act is to move the hands forward and backward. Right? Number 4 is to dust off the hands. Right? After lifting them up off of the ground, another sunnah is to dust off the hands, right? Remove the dust from the hands. You could do this where you could just remove the dust from your hands like this in this manner. And the 5th one is spreading the fingers at the time of placing them on the floor. Okay, again, first saying Bismillah prior to starting the tayammum, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Number 2, the tartib, the sequence, wiping your face first, then wiping the right arm, and then wiping the left arm. Number 3, when you place your hands on the floor, you move them forward and you move them backwards as well. Number 4, you dust off the hands, remove the dust or the soil or the sand from your hands. And number 5, at the time of placing them on the floor, you make sure that your fingers are spread out. Right? So these are the 5 sunnah acts of tayammum. Right? Not just to show practically, to make it easier for us to understand. How is tayammum performed? Okay? So, first thing, obviously, you roll up your sleeves, right? You roll up your sleeves, say for example on the floor there's sand. In the beginning, right, intention is necessary. I have to make the intention in my heart that I'm performing tayammum to pray salat. Right? That's number 1 rule. In order for tayammum to be valid, intention is necessary. Then afterwards, when I'm placing my hands on the floor, what do I have to do? Spread the fingers, right? And what else?
Move them forward
and then move them backward. Right? Then?
Wipe.
Yes, you dust them off, right? You make sure you remove the dust off of your palms, and then you wipe the face. And you have to make sure that you cover the entire face, right? You wipe the entire face. Every single part has to be covered. You have to make sure. Okay? Yes. The same that was mentioned. No, the beard is not necessary. And the explanation I was mentioned before, the different types of beard, right? Yes, then you wipe the face, and then afterwards, the second time, same thing. You spread your fingers, move them forward, move them backwards, you remove the dust, and then you wipe your arm all the way until the elbow, including the elbow. Easy way to do this, your middle finger, ring finger, and pinky, like this, from the back of these 3 fingers on your right hand. You make this motion all the way down, up until the elbow, including the elbow. Then with the index finger and the thumb, you make a ring around it from your elbow, and like this, you wipe the rest of the hand. Right? That's the easy way to do it. Again, though we did it from the right side, and then with the left side, again, same way, in the same manner. Again, it can't be stressed that you have to make sure that every part of that arm or your arm and your face is wiped, right? And from after wiping the right arm, it's not necessary for you to now place your hands on the floor and get your hands dusty again, right? It's just 2 times, right? First for the face, and the second time is for the arms, the right arm and the left arm. So that's practical method of performing tayammum, pretty straightforward, simple. Now, what breaks your tayammum? This is also very simple. Anything that breaks wudu, it'll break your tayammum, right? Like flowing blood, you're using the bathroom, pass wind, you vomit, right? Full mouth of vomit, sleeping, right? Falling into deep sleep while laying down. All those things that break wudu, they'll break tayammum as well, right? Also, there's another thing you have to add is when you find water. When water is found, your tayammum breaks. So now, if a person is praying his salat with tayammum and now he sees water, what does he do?
He has to break the prayer.
He has to break the prayer. He has to break his salat since now water is available and he'll go before wudu. What if he prayed his salat and after his salat he finds water? What does he do? He will not have to repeat his salat. He'll just make wudu with that water anytime he wants to pray later on. Even if there's still time left, he doesn't have to repeat that salat. Right?
He doesn't have to do qada because it's his spirit, right?
No.
Now, was that is that in the condition that he finds water over a mile away afterwards, or?
It doesn't matter if it's within a mile or if it's more than a mile.
Okay.
If he finds water after he prays salat, and even if there's still time left, he will not have to repeat the salat.
What about for the next salat?
For the next salat, he'll have to make wudu with the water available. Yeah.
This is obviously.
If the water is available, it's tayammum broke, there's water there.
This is obviously somewhere like in the desert or something.
Yeah.
Or on the train. I mean, it could be. If you're traveling, if you have those
long distance traveling by train.
What about if you're in ghusl? You need ghusl. Can you just do tayammum?
Yeah, if there's no water available, then you can do tayammum. It'll suffice for the ghusl.
A full bucket of dust.
I don't even have to clean my legs or my. What about the private parts? No.
Tayammum will suffice for that.
So if I pray, even if I need ghusl, I do tayammum and I pray
Yes,
when there's no water.
There's no
I don't
water.
even need to make it up or anything.
No.
Oh.
Tayammum will suffice for ghusl as well.
Okay.
Also, some other rules pertaining to tayammum. We mentioned that if you can't find water, like what if there is water? Say there's a place nearby where there is water available. If you think that the people are very stingy and they're not going to give you the water, and you're convinced, like you're really convinced, you have this predominant feeling within you that even if I ask them for water, they won't give it to me. You're upstate somewhere in Pennsylvania with rednecks and they're not going to give you the water for tayammum. So you can perform tayammum at that time if you know that they're not going to give you the water if I ask for it. But nowadays you could just go to the store and you could buy water. Another thing is if you have water, but now you feel that you're in a state of severe thirst, and you're like, if I use this for wudu, then I'm not going to have anything to drink. When you're in a state of severe thirst, then you can make tayammum. You could use that water to drink, and you can make tayammum as well. Right? Scholars even say in the fiqh books, like if you have some dough with you and you need water to net that dough, to eat it and you don't have any other food, he says you could use that water for the dough, you don't have to make wudu with that water. You could perform tayammum. Right? So they're just some miscellaneous masail rulings pertaining to tayammum. That will be all for today. I didn't really get a chance to look at anything beyond tayammum. Does anybody have any questions related to it?
You have to, dust your hands twice. Once for the face, and then once you do it the second time, and you move back, and then you dust it off.
The right arm
and left arm.
and
Right?
the left arm.
So it's better to do it 2 times.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So say for example you have to make ghusl and you have major impurity on you and you don't have like another set of clothes. So obviously you still have to pray, but will you have to later do the qada then?
Oh, if you have impurity on your clothing? I'm not sure about that. We'll find out about that. You guys have any other questions? Later, inshallah, jazakallah khairan for your time. Next week we'll continue. I'll see, inshallah, what we'll cover. Maybe stinja or masa on leather socks. We'll see, inshallah. Inshallah. In a few weeks we'll finish up the harat and then we'll get into salat, inshallah.